Thank you for listening to Crazy Conversations with Miss Kim on your favorite station, intellectualradio.com. I am your host, Miss Kimberly Watkins Allman. With us today is our executive producer, Sumner Allman, my wifey for lifey. And we have Takana Henry of Takana's Kitchen in Calumet City. I hope and pray that everyone is having a great start to their work and school week. Takana, thank you for coming back for this segment of Resolve to Evolve, the finale. We combined part 1 and 2, along with the recap, a recall, a remix, along with requested conversations. And with that, we are using some of our own real life scenarios to assist listeners with their requests. So we hope that Resolve to Evolve has been helpful and amazing to our listeners as well as it has been to us. She is the owner of Takana's Kitchen in Calumet City, Illinois. She is the menu and meal prep guru. She is the instructor of the best culinary class, which is located at Cortlandt High School. That is one of our CPS Network 13 schools. She teaches the youth the art of food. Crazy Conversations with Miss Kim is honored once again to have this amazing woman that you should let feed you. That's why I got my calories, because she
Thanks for having me.
But thank you so much. And with this collaboration, I think it's going to get extremely crazy. But before I totally give it over to the beautiful guests and co-hosts, I would love to remind everybody on the amount of responses and feedback that we have received regarding Resolve to Evolve. So I would like to make sure that this is the finale. Take over, Takana.
All right, guys. So how's everybody tonight? So before we get started and have this final dialogue or conversation, I'm certain that it's going to be more conversations in your homes and in your beauty shops, etc., in the barber shops. But we want to talk to you guys about, this is what we've done so far, if you've missed any of it, okay? So our first show was how to resolve to evolve beyond past relationships that no longer serve you. We talked about the burial, right? So we first discussed when you were first betrayed, how did you show up after that betrayal? If you could have had things different, then what would that have looked like for you? Then we started talking about in the second episode of digging up graves, like going back to the site. And we found in that conversation that some of the people that were buried was us, right? And it was some things that we needed to kill off that we didn't even realize that in the midst of us trying to block other things from other people, we actually the result was we blocked ourselves. And so it didn't turn out like we thought it would, right? So it was a self-sabotage almost in essence. Last week, we ended up discussing those first two. We went a little deeper and started talking about not just a recap, but like Kim was saying, a remix. We really kind of just opened up and kind of responded to some of the individuals that have been leading or sending messages to us and started answering some of those kinds of questions and things that we saw, just to give a little feedback and go a little deeper into some of those questions. So today is the finale of it all, and we want to just conclude this by, is it resurrection, or what did we say we were calling this one, or what did we say? Because we know it's the end, right? So we've already gone to the funeral, the repast, the burial. We dug up the graves, right? We went and figured out who we were, and now we're showing up. We've even talked to our 20-year-old selves at this big age that we are now, 50 years old. We talked to what would we have said to us at 20. What would we have done differently? And so that it's just been very, very unearthing, which is a great word to use for it, because it's been really, really good and cathartic for us all. So that's what we've been doing.
Okay. and I would like to turn it over to our producer with the first question.
Now here comes the crazy conversation. Y'all ready? Seatbelts on.
I'm prepared to sleep in the basement. Go ahead.
Okay, the first question is for Kim. The question is, can you please tell me and the audience about Kimberly P. Watkins, start as a little girl with pigtails to now? Tell us about Kimberly P. Watkins. Not nobody else, Kim. Not no Kim was in high school. We all need to know out of the audience and the listeners, because we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks what you been going through, the pain, the hurt. So we try to realize, where did you come from? Tell us about Kimberly P. Watkins, born Watkins.
So saying the Stuart dropped me off is not effective enough. Okay. Well, to describe Miss Kim with pigtails and little sassiness, I could say that I was vibrant. I was curious. Absolutely. I was cute, adorable, those type of things. But the one thing that stands out with me with that question is that I was always different. I was always different from who and what I came from. So, with that being said, I sometimes felt that a lot of places and a lot of things and a lot of situations I did not belong in. And maybe it was because of certain things that I had to go through. So from 5 to 50, now I can say that I'm stronger. I know how to use and utilize no better than I did in my 20s, better than I did in my 30s. I have learned to practice self-control in an extraordinary way. And the only person that I can give credit for that is God, and also to be under the leadership of a good spiritual teacher. So a lot of things that I went through, I had to learn how to adapt to not being like everybody else. I was a child that went through things that I shouldn't have. I was always told, you know way too much. You've seen way too much. So
the Kim now that we see the jolly, Freddie more conversation, more try to satisfy everyone else, well, you as that child as 5 years old, like how you now, because that's why we have to start from the beginning, because we become who we are in the future.
I've always been like that. I've always been easy to love, happy to love, even when I was not receiving it. I still gave love. I still gave whatever I could to anyone that came in my space. I always feel is that if someone has a problem with Miss Kim, it's not because of Miss Kim. Because I don't have enemies. I don't know people that I don't love or like. I'm still that same person that you see at 5 sitting on the step waiting on my grandmother to come home with a bag so I can grab her leftover lunch. Going down the street asking all the neighbors, is there anything that I can do for them? As I approach 50, I think I'm the same way. I've grown, I've matured, I've outgrown some situations, some people, places, and things. But that had to be at the time when I was ready. A lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't be with that person. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. But I had to do it in my own timing. I had to cut things off at my own timing.
And so why, because you keep saying you have to cut people off, that's why I'm saying we already know that people don't make us. So being as Kimberly P. Watkins, that's what the listener is, majority of the listeners that we know. They need to know because of what you was going through and how long you tolerated a lot of things. So that's why I asked the question about from the beginning, because the purpose of this story, like we said, we started a couple of weeks ago, was to evolve, to resolve, and we like to bury everything. We already know that there's no more perfect. We already know that. So certain things need to be just put on the dead end. So that's the whole conversation of this whole phenomena of the whole 4 weeks. And this right here is the conclusion, because this is over. It's like the dead horse.
I'm so happy because you all won't call me Miss Kim.
No, it's not going to happen. Ever. So that's the whole purpose of this situation of tonight, of our story. Just because we have to get to the core of what's going on and where it come from, because it did come from nowhere. Because sometimes when we get in marriages or relationship, sometimes we might be fighting ourselves, but we take it out on our partner because they there.
That's transference. Remember we were talking about transference.
So you want to get to my core?
The question was.
Okay.
Yes. Tell us about Kimberly P. Watkins, Birth Watkins, who she are, how you are, so you explain this to us. So you have some more?
I still feel the same. I think that if I was on the outside looking in, I would think that I was an amazing person. I think that
as a 50.
And I think that I have taken everything that I've been through and overcame so many difficult obstacles in my life, and that I'm here at 49 getting ready to turn 50, and I'm here with a testimony. So again, I'm just happy that I made it through, because some of those things a lot of people could not make it through. I'm strong enough to change. And I know when change is needed. I know when God is needed, and that's throughout everything. And when I learned to put myself ahead of some people that I put ahead of me, it made the world of a difference.
Okay. So, Takana, this is the same question. Tell us a brief description of the Takana with the ponytails, with the rubber bands, with the socks pulled up and one pulled down, with your knees all busted. Tell us about that person too, the Takana now, as a 50.
I'm actually the same as I was as a child. I'm more accepted now than I was as a child. So what I mean is, I've always been extremely inquisitive. I found out later in life I'm a researcher, and that's why I always ask, well, why? It wasn't that I was trying to be defiant or flippant. It was because I'm inquisitive and I like education. I don't like it from the standpoint of what you make me read. I like to understand what you told me I couldn't have, or I couldn't know more about, or things like that. I just was always inquisitive as a little girl. I was very good with my hands. I learned how to sew at the age of 5. I learned how to do a lot of things: fish, sew, farm. I was playing the piano from age 5 to 13. I started singing when I was a child. I still do all of those things now. I haven't been fishing in some time, but it's time for me to redo that again, because that's a good rest. But everything that I was doing as a kid, I still currently do. I call myself a healer because I was healed, and I know that we are healed to heal. At age 27, I was diagnosed with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and Raynaud's syndrome, told I wouldn't see 30. I'm a researcher. I found out that that's a lie. And because I was being practiced on, that I could be perfected with if I learned the right information and knew what it was I needed to do to change the diagnosis. I believe that I definitely believe that God is a healer, but faith without works is dead, lest any man shall boast. So it's not just me going to the altar asking for healing. I had to actively do something, because I think I said it on this show. There's nobody in the Bible, point to it, and I probably can find that you're not reading it and you probably don't even know what you're reading. Nobody in the Bible got healed without doing something. They had to make some type of action. Example, the woman with the issue of the blood had to go to where Jesus was. The man at the side of the water had to have someone take him to the water every day. And nobody has been healed without an action. So I feel like at this state in my life now, I am doing exactly what I was doing as a child. I am still a researcher. I'm still very inquisitive. When I found out about this diagnosis and I ended up having to learn about what could heal me, I dug deep enough in finding out about cannabis and cannabinoids and understanding the plants, and also knowing that it was a plant used in the Bible, and that is a property of healing. So that's exactly what helped to heal me. So that's one of the reasons that, I feel like I'm the same as I was. Very, very inquisitive, and just wanting to know more so that I can help. Because I've always been a person that if you tell me and if I learn, I'm not just going to harbor that information. I'm going to always share it with somebody else to help them. And that's who I have always been. So, yeah, that's me. Outgoing, love to have a good time with people. I've never been a partier. I've never been a sneaky person. I've never been rebellious. I wasn't. I was called that coming up because I had a parent that just didn't invest or take the time to seek the answers to help me learn more, or maybe they didn't have that information themselves and they just refused to try it and just said, you know what, just don't worry about it, But I've always been that same inquisitive child, and I'm always a go-getter and a fighter, and I'm very loyal, unfortunately sometimes to a fault.
You said to a fault. What you mean to a fault, as?
Sometimes I stay loyal to things that I should have let go years ago.
But was it time for you to let it go years ago?
Yeah. And here's the thing. As I saw when we talked a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the 5 A's: allowing, acceptance, allowing, acknowledgement. Those 5 A's that we discussed, I held on because my expectation was that I would receive back from that individual, whomever or whatever it was, what I was pouring into it. And sometimes I would hold on to that situation and it was already dead. And it was nothing that I could do to resurrect it. But because of my loyalty and my stick-to-itness in it, I would stay longer than I needed to. And sometimes, even in business, I can say, let's just take friendships, relationships off the table. I've been in business for myself since I was a kid. In high school, I was doing nails and makeup at 16. I've always had a business, and I always have business ideas and things that I know that I can execute very impactfully and effectively, as I have every business that I've been blessed to have. But one of my business coaches told me years ago, she said, sometimes you hold on to the idea of what it is that you want to do longer than necessary because you're loyal to seeing it to be perfected. And sometimes you need to let it go and allow your team to come in and help and put some hands around it and help. You can't do it by yourself. So that's what I say. That's what I mean when I say I'm loyal to a fault. That's the fault of not allowing somebody else to come in to either help, oversee, or let it out, so that if there is something else I need to learn in the meantime to execute, I can. I hold too tight.
So is there a reason why you hold too tight?
Because I wasn't held.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is why we ask these questions, because we want to know why. Cause like I said, you ladies talked about the S's, about divorces, and what you are at young, you become what you are in the future.
Absolutely.
And what you are available to another human being or to somebody else's child. So that's why we have to make sure that we partake and we tell the person that we're dating about our past. I heard through one of the episodes, like, don't tell your mate what you went through, but sometimes you wearing what you've been through.
Yeah.
You wearing it on your face. You wearing it, your moves and your action.
So y'all looking at me.
I didn't even look your direction. No, and what Sandra is talking about is we talked about this, and for the listeners that may not have heard, we talked about transference, and that's whatever it was that happened to you in the past. You don't deal with it or communicate effectively about it, and then when you get into a new situation, whether it be a personal relationship, a business relationship, whatever it is, you go into it, and when that individual says something that triggers something from the past, you lose it. Or it all comes out, and it's not that actual person that's in your face that's the problem or that created that trigger. You haven't dealt with what the trigger was initially. So all the people that's in your current day and age right now, you want to knock out and you mad at, it's really not them. You need to go back within first to figure out where that trigger started, how it even was, how it even came about, and deal with that. If the person that brought that to you is still alive, go and deal with them and say, hey, this is what it was. This is what you've done. I don't need your apology, or I don't even need you to agree with it, because my experience is my experience. And you can't tell me that that's not what my experience was. Even if you don't want to be honest about your example or what you did, that's still my experience. Okay? And so take a breath and own that you don't like what I'm saying that you did to me. And you don't have to. But I'm releasing you to however you want to feel about it, because I don't have nothing to do with it. But let me put it back on you so that I don't keep carrying it everywhere else. That's what transference is. So that's what we're talking about.
All right.
Last question.
Yeah.
Kim, coming into your preteen to your young adulthood, that's like when you started dating at what, 16, 17? From your preteen to your young adulthood, how did you feel about your outer self, your outer appearance?
I didn't start dating at 16. I started at 15.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it started at 15. So, yeah, so the question is, how did you feel about your outer self during that time of your period of your life? From your preteen to your young adult age, from 12? Because preteen is 12 years old, right?
12.
Yeah, from 12 years old to 18. That's from 7th, 8th grade to high school. How did you feel about your outer self? Like, how did you feel about your outer self, your appearance? How do you feel about your looks, your shape? Because then back in them days, that matters. We could say that it didn't, but it's like it's going in a circle. How did you feel about your outer self? And was you taught about self-esteem? Oh, I'm sorry.
She
Go
look
ahead,
like she
Kim.
needs CPR.
We're going to start with the outer self first. Because I gave you about, it's another thing, it's self-esteem,
Image.
it's outer self, self-esteem, and how to self-love yourself.
As a preteen to
Young
18, young adult, I can say that I was very self-conscious about my looks. I felt like I was too dark to talk to lighter skin. My siblings were lighter skinned. So I did not understand why I was the dark one. I didn't understand why I was 12 years old and I was a size 10 in ladies' clothing. It was a lot of things at that time. You know, graduating high school, I can say that my prom dress was a size 16, 18. I wondered why I could not wear the dresses with everything hanging out, because of the way I felt about myself. So it took years after for me to be able to grasp the fact that no matter what, I'm amazing. No matter what, I got to keep going. I mean, I was always the friendly one. I consider myself pretty talkative, pretty popular in high school. I always got a lot of compliments, but it has to be that self-love, that self-compliment. And I just could not I could not bring myself to love myself and compliment myself at that age because I wasn't taught how to.
Was anyone around you from giving you compliments? Was you complimented as a kid? From a young adult, would you say you're beautiful no matter what size you are? You still pretty, you still sexy, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
As parents.
my grandmother instilled into me constantly how beautiful I was, and don't worry about it because you have big legs and you got thighs. Let them know where you got it from. It came from your grandmother. It came from Mildred Watkins. So I never had to expect it from others. I thought I wasn't worthy or enough, but I had that grandmother that constantly, I actually was blessed with 3 grandmothers that constantly told me how beautiful, how smart, how you can do this, how you can do that. But no matter what they told me, I still had to grasp it myself. I had to start loving myself. At that age, as a preteen, you got to start building your own expectations and your own self-esteem to go with the person that you are, because every type of self-esteem does not go with the person that you're walking around being every day. So with that being said, I was blessed to have the people that did remind me and keep instilling and embedding that in me, of my beauty, of my brains, of my capability of being loved. And I'm just so happy that I had someone, I had my GMA, to always tell me how beautiful I was. But it just doesn't stick the way I feel that it should when you are not receiving it from the people and the person that you need it from the most. And I think that falls under the umbrella of parents. It's okay that the grandparents step in to do certain things and our parents allowed them to, but sometimes parents have to be the one. They have to be the one. And I felt, well, you said till 18. I won't go any further. Go ahead, Takana.
I can answer that question really, really easily. Preteen to 18, self-esteem, image, how did I identify? I was never encouraged or told that I was a beautiful girl.
Your outer self.
My outer self, okay, never. I was told I was fat. I was told nobody would want me. I was told that I was flipping and fast. I was told that my attitude made me ugly, and everything about me was. I was told to be quiet, shut up. No one be seen and not heard. You said from preteen to
18.
18. So preteen, I was molested by a family member. A child care provider. His wife was I called her mommy because she raised me. And taught me to fish and farm and all the stuff that I mentioned just a second ago. Her spouse molested me from age of 5 up until 10. When I told the very person that should have protected me, they played amnesia. They played like they didn't recall it and remember it. I remember every single thing. I remember what they said. They said I was lying. Everything that I ever said was a lie. You're not going to F up my job. Just deal with it. You probably lying anyway. Okay? So there was no protection, which is why I made the comment before. The reason I hold on so long is because I wasn't held. I wasn't. I'm clear on the lack of outer love that I got. I'm clear on the lack of, very poignantly. I was told as a teenager, get out of my face, you're looking like your father. I understood what that meant later is because you're mad that he didn't choose you at the end, and that's why you casted me out. You didn't choose me because he didn't choose you. I just learned that, a couple years ago through therapy. A lot of stuff has been healed because now I understand. So no longer is it hurting. No longer is it something that I'm docile with. I was told I was fat. I was not allowed to wear any of the popular clothes. And I went to a Catholic school from 0 up until high school. Went to a public school and I freaked out. I freaked out in high school because all the kids had starters. All the kids had Jordans, whatever was going on at that time. I remember I was always a kid that everybody could point out because I was always in Spiegel's best. So whatever the norm was, I was in Spiegel's, okay? So much so that I went on.
You took me back.
You said preteen to 18. This was my life.
No, I didn't say that. Some did.
Well, you get what I'm saying. So I also was told I went on my junior year of high school, I went on one of my friend's prom who was a senior. At the time, I was wearing 16 and 18, okay? I was told if I wanted to go, this purple Spiegel's dress my mother brought home, which was a size 7'8". If you're going, that's what you're wearing. So not only do you not promote and esteem me positively, you then disrespect me and give me something I'm going to have to starve myself to put on. And I did. And I had to go to psychiatrists, and I had to go to nutritionists because I was fat. And I was told to wear long sweaters to cover my behind, and I was never esteemed and told I was beautiful. At high school, I had the same boyfriend from age, I started, because you talked about dating also, right? So I'm gonna hit that one too because I don't want us to lose time. I started dating my first boyfriend, I think I was 13. I was in 8th grade, he was in 7th in Catholic school. We dated till I was 23 years old. That was my only boyfriend. So the love that I got, the esteem that I got, promoting that I was beautiful, encouraging me and making me feel like I was seen, because it wasn't for me, I need somebody to tell me I'm pretty. I needed somebody to see me, as a parent to see me. And that is what I didn't get at home. So my boyfriend's family, until this day, I'm 50 years old, they're still family to me. They're still very closely connected. They don't do family outings or anything without, hey, we doing the family. So that is where I got love. That is where I was accepted. That is where I got acknowledgement. Those are where I got the 5 A's. I got them late, but that's where it came from. So much so that on my first boyfriend's mother's, in her obituary, she put me in there as her daughter. She had 3 boys. She put me in there as her daughter, not her son's ex-girlfriend. She listed me as a child of hers, and because that's how they always treated me like that. So that's where I got the love from. That's where I felt beautiful, because she was gorgeous, and she used to make me feel like I was a reflection of her beauty. That's the only place I got it from, that preteen to 18. Yeah, that was it. And I don't feel like I was ugly. I felt like I was overlooked. I felt uncomfortable because I wasn't just hearing, like you guys just talked about. It's one thing for a grandparent to say it. It's another if it's from the parent. My grandmother was the one that was also saying the same thing that I was getting from my own parent. She fast till she flipping, and it was not me. I was at home, always on punishment, and my cousin was the one sneaking out the house every week, every night. I would never fast. I couldn't be, because I lived with a tyrant.
So the situation that you and Kim went through, and you was told, you just told me that the guy loved you, and he showed you he loved you. What about you loving him? Did you know how to love him?
I learned how to love him through how they loved me. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That family taught me. So they taught me vulnerability, and you can't love nobody that you can't be vulnerable with.
So that was your ex.
My first boyfriend.
First boyfriend.
My first boyfriend's family. I learned how to love, and not clingy love, but love, and there is unconditional love is what I learned with them. It didn't matter what was going on with their family or what was happening.
The love outweighed.
No, nothing. No, there was nothing you could do to ever make them feel like you were unlovable. They just loved you, and they taught me that that's how I'm supposed to love. And I grew up in a home that was in church, but I'm gonna tell you something. We came up Christian, Baptist, or whatever. Their family is Catholic to this day. I learned more love out of their family in their belief system than I ever did in my own.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? So,
I can relate. I
that's where
had
that came
to.
from.
So about Percy Kim, get back to you,
Oh boy.
because she talked about her first relationship,
Mhm.
that it taught her how to love, even though she did not receive love from the person or from the people that she actually
What I
would.
was assigned to.
What do you mean, like
Because we
my?
assigned to our own first parents.
Because
That's
hers
what I
was
mean.
because hers was serious. Like she said, hers from this year to 23, and so he taught her how to love. So with your circumstances, like you wasn't taught, and was you angry? And when you first started dating, did you take the lack of love?
Mm.
Did you force yourself? Did you make yourself try to be seen just because of to be loved? You want to be loved. You want to be liked.
Well,
That's a hard question. I'm sorry.
It's extremely hard. It's extremely hard. It triggered me.
Oh, Lord.
It triggered me. It did.
Because
But it triggered me in a different type of way. And with that being said, you know, I think at some point in our lives, we all feel that we should divorce our family sometimes, you know,
Mhm.
that, you know, we deserve better. And I felt that. And I think when I left home at 19 and never returned, I left at 19 and I never returned to even spend a night. So when I had to go out there to find that type of family, I did. I enjoyed my
Your ex.
my ex
So did
in-laws. I did. My ex family.
you enjoyed your ex family because you didn't get love from where you came from?
I think so.
Because sometimes you have to be careful when you run. You just can't run everywhere,
Correct.
and you can't run to anybody, to everybody. Just
Correct.
because of as a mother, period. Some mothers give their child away to a person who's vulnerable.
Mm.
I'm gonna
was
say that
treated.
again.
I was
And
treated.
And I can say this: mothers know what they have at home,
Mm.
and they voice and they know they trouble.
Mhm.
So why you go sit in that seed outside, and place somewhere that don't even belong? It's not gonna flourish right.
So let me say
Yeah,
this.
let her
See?
do it.
Let me say this because I hear what you're saying, but what I want you to understand is what I had to learn through my therapy. I understood people can only give you what they've received. So I cannot expect my mother to give me more than what was ever given to her from her mother. So then I cannot hold her in contempt of not giving me what she don't know how to get. My mother is 68 years old. I can't tell you how many friends she has because I don't know. I haven't spoken to her in a couple years. There's a very good reason for that. I have to let go of things that are continually trying to bait me and that still don't know how to love, that still don't know how. Here's what I always say to parents. Somebody can only take you as far as they were taken. However, it is up to you as an adult to say, I want to go further, let me learn. Let me unlearn, deconstruct if I have to, so that I can be a better example of what it should look like for where I am now, for me, and for those that I encounter and I interact with. And that's what I feel that I had to do. I knew that she couldn't take me beyond 16, 17 years old. So me expecting her in my 21st birthday party or 21st year of life to acknowledge and or allow me, or when I got married at age 30, for her to be positively receptive and not dogmatic and negative in every little thing. That's what she did. So what I have to understand is, you know what? I can block that conversation with you because you're not evolved enough. You didn't even try to be better. You're not evolved enough. So you're not an individual I can move forward in a dialogue with because you're still stuck in 1979. This is 2024. I'm not going backwards because that big old huge mirror in your window in your car and that little bitty one, there's a reason why. So anyway, for time's sake, go ahead. Because I want you to, this is the conclusion, and I really want you to spit fire and get these questions out because I'm ready for you. I'm ready. Let's go. Wow.
You the only one ready, but go ahead.
Okay, now we're going to discuss about you guys
Mhm.
as marriages, of course, and with the new, because it's once again you have to go with the old to get with the new. And to me, I'm open and honest. I'm neutral,
Mhm.
and to me, I was raised to handle anything. And certain questions you don't want to be asked, don't answer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like being married is serious,
Mhm.
and we come from broken homes. I'm not gonna say broken homes, because like you said, our parents might didn't even know how to be parents.
Mhm.
So what they did not know how to be, we have to catch on at a young age, because our parents would teach us. They would tell us how they are. So going forward with the marriage, you two was married before.
Mhm.
You was married, Kim, for 23 years, divorced for 8. What did your childhood, or do you think your childhood affected your relationship towards towards your towards your marriage? For me, towards your, as seriously though, you have to. It's two sides to a story. I'm gonna let you talk. It's two sides to a story, and sometimes we have to take the eye out of eye, because when you marry, you know what I'm saying. It's two human beings, but two human beings is as one. But I've been here, for the last couple of weeks, it's like what they did to me, what they did to them, what they did, what they did. But the thing is, as you was as a young lady to an older person, then you decide to get married. You decide to leave home at 19. Then you decide to, you married. So
Yes, at 20, I was good and settled into a marriage. Again, I was in the midst of a new family.
but did you know how to be a wife?
I don't think that I knew how to be a wife. Who knows how to be a wife at 19?
Mhm.
Who knows how to be a wife at 19?
Some folks
So
don't know how to be
pretty
a wife at
much-
50.
Pretty much, we were in a situation where we were raising ourselves.
Mhm.
And with that being said, at 21, I couldn't do what other 21-year-olds were doing.
Mhm.
I had a mortgage, 2 condos, and I was a step parent. I had a bonus baby at that time. So being a wife was probably the farthest thing from my mind at that time. And with that being said, I wasn't taught that love. I didn't come from the type of family that showed a lot of love. Our families were my family, my biological family, was into how much money the other person made. We have first cousins, my parents, siblings, children, right now that we don't even know each other because we was taught to be competitive, to get out there and make money, not how to show love. So when I came out at 19, what did I do? At 20, I opened a business because I was taught survival skills, not how to love anybody.
Good one. Very good.
I was
Yes.
not taught
Very good.
to love anybody.
Very good.
I didn't receive it. So how can I show that
Mhm.
if I didn't know that? I was taught that you got to do better than my sister's child, or you got to do better than my brother's child. And you got to get out there and make your life better because our family has to shine over here because we got to do things a certain way. And that certain way had a price tag and a dollar sign on it. Me, myself, at this age, if my child decided to do whatever in life, just because of what I went through, I would be extremely supportive if they wanted to work at White Castle with 2 master's degrees. I would support them because to have that type of stress put on you that you got to turn out a certain way when you was not even able to go out and be a teenager. or to be a young adult. As a young adult, I had major responsibilities.
Well, during that, how was you mentally? Was you upset? Was you angry? Was you hurt? Just because we understand, how you was raised, not being a mother, not being a wife.
I felt
I think she just answered it. She learned how to survive. So
I
that's all
had
she was doing.
I was only taught survival skills, how to survive out here in a world where money had to be made. Money had to be made. Money was more important than love.
So did you take that to your marriage?
But
the competition, the competitive with your mate, because sometimes it depends on what your mate come from.
I'm gonna tell you one thing when it comes to competition. I never was competitive with the person that I was with. That competition did not start until I filed for divorce. Then the competition began. So right now, I'm in competition.
Why?
I feel as though everything is competitive. Like, I got to stick around. I got to go hang around the people that mean the most to Kim to aggravate her. So I feel like I have to compete with the people that I love, because if I go around them, like right now, I can't visit my parent. I can't visit my mother because my ex is always there. This started after the divorce. My ex had nothing to do with my family prior to the divorce. But again, my story was told. He saw the dynamics. He took that, he ran with it. I cannot go and visit some friends and some family because he's always there.
So?
And no, I'm not gonna be. I don't want to relive my past every time I go to my family's house.
But what I'm saying to you is, hear me, because I understand what you're saying. If you're going to some place that you should be able to go to, and there's an individual that's being welcomed by other individuals, then you have to make a decision. Are those individuals that are welcoming that person of your past, what is that relationship and why is that there? And if it's something that's between the two of them, then you should be able to go freely to wherever you want to go. And they're there, but anyway, I don't know if you remember, we had the conversation about the guy that I dated, the guy that I dated, and basically, long story short, the brother said when we broke up, stay away from the family about a year or two because you want to be able to come around and it doesn't impact you or hurt you anymore. And so the feelings are no longer present. I can hang around with them, not a problem, we're cool. And even me and the guy. My point is this with what you just said. If you have stayed away long enough so you can heal beyond it, that message really was not for you. It would have been for the ex-spouse, because the ex-spouse is the person that's coming into. You're a part of the family. So that same comment should have been made to him. Stay away, la da da. If he's doing anything intentionally or malicious to try to trigger whatever, you have an option. Ignore the trigger or don't even be around it and don't even give voice to it.
And that's why
we keep things alive when we talk about them.
I don't go.
Don't go and don't speak.
Don't speak.
And I don't speak.
Because if you speak on the dead will always be there. When you start conjuring up a spirit and talking about things or talking about somebody, they've been on my mind, they're going to call you.
If people want to
if that happens in the spirit realm, it happens in the natural realm also.
If people want to make other people comfortable, it's my job to protect my new relationship, my new marriage, my new everything. And I'm not going to have my wife to sit amongst my ex at a dinner table, at a function, respect-wise.
But I would like to.
No. Let me get this
because
out.
Then that person won't come back.
No. This person is gonna come back.
Oh.
This person is gonna come back to the point where when I'm told that, my parent is calling his wife daughter because they're there so much.
That's messy.
Then you know what? It's time for me to go.
Right.
I'm good. I am so good. I just don't want to keep reliving
And
my
rehash.
past.
Understood.
So this is my way of burying it, because I went to my family and I said, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. Some said she can deal with it. I said, I'm uncomfortable. This is my wife's time to get to know my family. And we cannot do that in the presence of others.
Okay.
And I don't care what kind of relationships that was built up.
Mm-hmm.
This is my family. So again, as a person, some can't take me to her ex-wife's mother's house. You can't take me to your ex-wife brother's house and think I'm going to be comfortable. So think about that.
Well,
So
I'm thinking
all of
about it.
these-
The reason that I was making that face, not to cut off, but I'm looking at this time too. But the reason I did it is because my husband has gone with me to around any of them, because you know what? I know currently who I'm with. I know my position in his life, and they don't impact me. That's my past. And as long as I've resolved that we don't have no ties, they still can treat me like family or whatever. But he's not threatened because he knows his position in my life as well. And I'm like, at the end of the day, this is what I'm saying. I'm hoping, if you do go back around and you choose to, that other individual that is the extra, maybe they'll get uncomfortable when they see, you know what, I'm the one that's invading the family.
It's not my job to make anyone feel uncomfortable.
I'm not saying that it is.
I don't have
that's
any
not your power.
problems.
You're not supposed to. But
It's their time
Yeah. Let them have their
to
own
get to
thing.
know their own families. And just like I don't go
Yeah.
to things that I'm invited to from my ex-in-laws, and I'm invited, I don't go, because it's her time to get to know the family. Nobody wants to get to know the family with an ex sitting in the room. I may want to say something personal that I don't want them to know. So with that being said, trying to make me feel uncomfortable makes
A bigger issue. I
it
understand
makes
what you're
people look just dumb.
saying.
And that's just it.
I
Since
got you.
when we talked about that with the
Mhm.
listener,
Mhm.
and we talked about that with the listener when we were back at the home studio,
Mhm.
and I told you, I said, how did I tell you I felt? Like, in order to get out of this situation,
I already know. You said
I
you
felt-
in jail. I get it.
I felt like somebody wanted me in a jumpsuit. So I'm not going around people that try to trigger me, because I know ignorance, and I know that somebody gonna pull it. Because guess what? Miss Kim, the only one with something to lose. So again, you're not gonna set me up.
Yeah, I
You will not
understand.
set me up in that situation. Go be around whoever you think that's gonna aggravate me, that you never gave a damn about the whole 23 years of the marriage. You didn't want them in our house. You didn't want them anywhere near our house. But now all of a sudden, bosom buddies, okay, I can deal with it because I'm so over it. Y'all live y'all life.
Well, we all try to pray for the sick and the shut-in, so I guess that's what they want.
And
Next
that's it.
question.
And that's it. The sick and the shut-in.
Next question. Because I don't want to ask these questions if I can't be truthful.
No, you're
Yeah.
good.
You're good. You're
It's
good.
not to bash anybody, and it's not to hurt anybody's feelings.
But I just said it. It's your experience.
It's my
yours, And
experience.
you don't have to apologize for what you experienced. The question is always that I always ask people, how do you experience this? Or how
Next
did you
question.
experience that? We're at the end. We're
Yeah,
at the
come on.
conclusion. We're
We talk-
done. You talk to the end.
Yes, we talked. We
Yeah.
talked to the end. Like I said, you answered the last question was, well, yeah, but the last question was like, why tell your story now? So pretty much you summed it up, because it is interesting that any one of us, you've been married for 23 years, you was there for 23 years. That's a whole lot to say for years, and you've been divorced for 8. Why now tell your story of what really happened? Like, why now? It's like it's 2024 and you've been divorced for 8 years. You stayed for 23 years.
Mhm.
So why now your story?
First of all, I
I'm
have
sorry,
nothing.
Didn't I do something?
Yeah, you did. But again, the ride home is going to be interesting.
I was trying to take it off of your answer real quick so you could do your closeout.
First of all, the 23-year thing. Again, yes,
It takes
I
two.
was there.
Yes.
It takes 2. And again, I was not in a situation that I can go back home. I had a family, in-laws that loved me. I think they trusted me. I sat down and I told them, They knew what I was going through. I never expressed it to my own parents, but I did let my in-laws know. They knew what I was going through. They knew what I couldn't take anymore. I let them know I married the wrong brother. I didn't care because I didn't receive any love from the person that I took vows from. But anything I needed, any kind of support, any kind of finance, whatever I needed, I had that brother-in-law that helped me with everything. I told him all the time, I'm out of here. I'm finna go. Please stay. Everything gonna turn out right. We were best friends. And again, I stayed for the family. I didn't stay for the love. I stayed for the family because it wasn't no love. I stayed for the family because they were amazing. At one point, they were amazing. Did things change? Yes, it did. When those divorce papers came, things changed. But I still love them, and I love them for believing in me because I wouldn't have had my first home without them. When I didn't have a place, they signed for me to get my own home and help me start my first business. So I'm forever in debt to them. But again, I understand the distance now. It's not my time anymore.
So I'm gonna sum it up really quickly. I heard this years ago. However long you were in a relationship, it takes up to half of that time to get over it. I'm not saying that that's the case in in Kim's situation or in mine. I was married for 10 years, divorced 10 now, remarried now 2 years. But sometimes it takes us long. So your question initially basically was, why now tell the story? For me personally, I had to get healed. For me personally, I had to go through therapy. For me personally, I had to go do my work, and it was difficult. I had to unearth some things that I didn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
I had to go back and deal with some things that I didn't handle, and everything that I dealt with was with Takana first. I didn't give a crap about whoever else didn't get it. I don't care. I'm still never going to be concerned. At the end of the day, for me, I had to do the work for me. And that's how I want us to conclude this. We've already done the burial. We've already learned how to resolve to evolve for things that no longer serve us and move past those things. And a lot of it is with this. You start with you first. You start unpacking your own bags. You start peeling back those layers of your own onion, get to the core of it so you can plant that seed and blossom and grow from there. There you all have it. Hope you all have a fantastic night. Kim, want to take us out of here?
No, I don't. I want to go to the Blue Note after this. I'm going to need to go to the Blue Note after this because I'm going to have to dance this off. For real, for real. We appreciate you listening to Crazy Conversations with Miss Kim. Resolve to Evolve Part 1 and 2, the recap, the recall, and tonight was the finale on intellectualradio.com. Please tune in every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, again on your favorite station, intellectualradio.com. Good night, friends.